You know, the beauty about beauty of technology is
It's completely beyond your control.
yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what the beauty is. Every once in a while, everything takes a shit, and no matter how much you think you got control of it, you don't.
That's totally true. Okay, let me do a little more sharing now. Let's see if we can see if I can do some more sharing. You guys carry this for a second so I can get these back up.
Heather, who do we have in from social media?
Oh, geez. Let's see. Everybody who's here, we have to hopefully hope they can find us again. We have Missy here and Mailman and Jason Sims from the Cannonball. And Jason, the name of your new thing is The Chase, if I'm correct, which sounds completely badass, by the way. I'm very excited about that. We had Barclay Smashy in the house, and it looks like everybody is here and everybody is ready for Daytona. Jeff Quilty is here. He's one of our Colorado guys. Jeff, just a reminder, you're going to be with us on Realities Ride May 25th, right? We need all of our Colorado chopper jockeys there to support us on our first time out. So please, please, please come on out. Cycle Source Magazine. Hey, I'm guessing that's Miss Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca, how you doing?
Hey. Okay, so let's do I dare try that again?
If it crashes, you're no longer allowed to play video.
If it does, then it was the video. Hey man, Chris from Cycle Source Magazine, Greasy Gears Garage, and we're here in the shop working away on the Twisted Tea SoCal Lowrider. Just a few short weeks away from being in Daytona with this thing complete. Casey is hard at work on the paint right now. Brother, we love you for that. Thank you so much. You can see this thing starting to take shape. We got the super long pipes on from Dirty Bird, and Matt the Wrench is hard at work on the wiring. But we wanted to give you guys an update and look at what's going on with it. It's actually turning out to be a pretty cool bike. So stick around. We got more updates coming in these last 2-week stretch. We'll be back with you. I'm Chris. So this is the crazy thing about that. It's in and around 30 days that we've actually had all the parts and really been going after this motorcycle now. And you know, I was, dude, Mad Stork is here. Fantastic.
Casey Kennel's watching. He said he's sanding his ass off.
Oh, dude, Casey, we owe Casey some cases because no kidding, man. He's putting in the long hours. But the paint job, we were down there last night, and dude, the paint job is going to be so badass because Casey is like, he's one of the kings of the hot rod art. You know what I mean? He puts it together so good. It's going to be a fantastic paint job.
Nice. Can't wait to see what it looks like. Let me guess. It's going to be yellow.
It's going to be yellow.
It is going to be yellow, but there's going to be some lowrider inspired artwork going on there, man. There's some pagan gold and some variegated silver leaf that's going to be turned, and like,
if anybody can make a yellow bike look fantastic, it's going to be Casey Kennel.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
dude, the last two bikes have looked great. I don't know whether he painted them or not, but I mean, if you told me, oh, yellow bike, I would automatically think like a hamster bike. Not that there's anything wrong with hamsters, but it's just not my thing, right? But those last two bikes have looked great, so I have no doubt that it's going to be amazing because it's coming from the mind of Chris Callan.
I asked Chris, I said, you know, this is his third yellow bike in a row. Does that automatically qualify him for the yellow shirt?
No, listen, the reason she asked that was Keith Ball. Keith Ball sent her a message the other day and said, the world's going crazy. I don't understand. 2 magazines are closing. Your husband's building a hamster bike. It's out of control. Oh, Jesus.
Ryan McQuiston is in the house. David Morrill is here. LT Gray. We've got everybody here tonight. I love it. Everybody's waiting for Paul Sr.
Nice. Yeah, it should be fun.
It's going to be a good
I actually
show.
had a great conversation today with Chris Moose. Did a one-on-one podcast with him, kind of about his story. So we'll have that up here in the next couple weeks.
Right on.
Just a cool one-on-one. He talked about the Dynot and kind of his journey into the motorcycle industry and before. So it was a great conversation. Really stoked about that.
That's awesome. Oh, Chris has to brag a little bit here.
I have something to brag about because
do it.
I've never called myself a bike builder. I'm just a scooter tramp. But for the first time, one of my motorcycles got published in a foreign magazine, a magazine from Japan. And I owe Michael Lichter. This is like a lifetime high for me. And he managed to get these pictures put in this fantastic magazine from Japan called Club Harley.
I think it's right in the
Nice.
centerfold.
There it
honey.
is. And look at these beautiful pictures they put in. That's my little bored to death 73.
Nice.
And I wish I could tell you guys to go out and pick one of these up, and it's funny because at the same time Xavier got his copy, he got published in this same magazine. So 2 guys from Cycle Source
Nice.
who got published in that, and we owe Michael Lichter big thanks for that. So thank you, Michael.
That's super cool.
Yep.
So you have just a few minutes if you want to go over a little bit of news before we have to call Paul.
Okay.
Way to reel it in, Heather. Nice
Yeah,
job.
right?
Somebody's got to get
She
control
just-
of the circus.
She just
No
Jeez.
shit.
right there. She just took it right away from me. Let's take a look
Yeah.
at the news.
Missy, wait a minute. Missy said that's the bike that tried to kill Michael.
Okay, first up in the news this week, Battle of the Kings. Local Harley dealers working with local trade schools and global competition to build the coolest custom Harleys in the world. Ken?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm stoked about the trade show part. That's the part or the trade school part. That's the
Yeah.
part that I think is really great because, you know, there's just not enough apprenticeship these days. And I feel like, you know, those trade schools are, you know, kind of the window into the next generation of builders. So I think it's great that and I think it could be, we could see some really wild stuff.
Well, and if you see, I'm flipping through the...
Some of these are really
yeah,
cool.
Really, really. And the diversity is really what I dig, you know?
Yeah,
That's
totally
a lot
different
of
bikes.
really different styles.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if those are the actual bikes.
It says previous Kings. This is their...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So...
So I think it'll be fun to see what they come up with. You know, that younger generation. You never know. We were it one. You know.
Is there a way that do you know if there's a way we can follow along and keep up with this?
I think on just Harley's social media.
Oh, okay.
They had a whole thing on Facebook as well as on Instagram. So, and I'm sure they've got a hashtag like Battle of the Kings hashtag.
Oh, all right.
Right on.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Next up, this is a thing I think we're actually going to be at one way or another. The Motorcycle Industry Council Capitol Hill Fly-In 2019. Description of this event is MIC's Capitol Hill Fly-In is your opportunity to meet with members of Congress or their senior staff to communicate on important issues affecting your business and the power sports industry. Now is the time to come together as an industry to speak up and affect change.
Yeah, I pulled this up. I think this is, a little bit inside baseball for everyone, but I think they need to understand that there are actually people in Washington that are lobbying for motorcycle rights and for motorcyclists, and this just gives us a way as a part of the motorcycle industry to go and do that with them and see, kind of pull back the curtain a little bit. So I think you're planning on going, right, Chris?
Yeah, I do believe so.
Cool.
And it's going to give us an opportunity to go hang out with Joan and Joe,
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
there you go.
right?
News to me. I love when I hear things that we're doing live on air.
Right?
That's awesome. So you can go to that. I'm gonna go hang out with Joni.
Hey.
Go.
Hey, I'm not going to listen to that.
Okay, back to the news. Let's try to remember we're here for a purpose. This in from Power Sports Business this week. Yeah, let me close the pop-up. BRP acquires Alta Motor Select Assets. What does that mean, select assets?
I don't know, but my guess would be that it's probably a lot about the power plant.
Only the good stuff.
Yeah, probably all the good stuff. But I didn't delve any deeper into it. I do know that I rode that Alta last year in Daytona, and it was a blast. But they just got in over their heads. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. A lot more, people kind of coming into the space of electric motorcycles. We talk about this every week. I actually got on the phone with the people from Cake Motorcycles, which is an all off-road electric motorcycle that they're talking about getting an on-road one as well. So I'm trying to arrange a test ride with one of those. It's just, I think it's really important that we keep people kind of apprised at what's going on in the electric side of the motorcycle industry.
I feel like the people from Cake are cheating just a little bit.
Why?
So they could take advantage of I like cake. Who doesn't like cake?
I think their website is actually ridecake.com. They have this really cool concept, which is basically making kind of a track that you can make. They actually give you the design and everything, and it's like this mini kind of. It's not a motocross track and it's not a pump track. It's like kind of in between the two, but it looks like a blast. So
you're not getting a sponsorship.
I might. Leave me alone. So I do have a dirty, dirty secret to admit live on the air here tonight real quick. I have now...
So good. So good.
I have now entered the electric vehicle realm.
What? Huh?
Not as a buyer. The other day I stopped by LoJack Cycle, our local motorcycle dealer, and they have a full complement of electric bikes now. But what they had that was cool as hell was an electric bicycle.
Yeah.
And dude, in 2 pedals... I was going so fast across the shop, I had to grab every brake that bike had.
Yeah.
And
it is for sure the marijuana of motorcycles. It is the gateway drug to electric.
Well,
for sure.
I don't know about it ever taking the place of a good, healthy, naturally aspirated V-twin motorcycle for me.
No.
But
electric
bicycle?
I should say electric motorcycles. That is going to be the entry point for a lot of people.
Yeah. The electric bicycle, I could definitely see helping my fat ass get up a hill or two because, man, that was nice.
Well, and it's fun. The rad bike that I have, it's called a rad powered bike. It's, I think it gets 30 miles on a charge or something, and it can go 20 miles an hour. Like, how cool is that?
Yep.
Perfect for zipping around town.
So I think we're almost at that time. If you want to start telling everybody a little bit about our guest today, I'll get set up and we'll see how it goes.
All right. So super excited about our guest this evening. So Paul Tuttle Sr. of Orange County Choppers is coming on. Most of you know him probably from the TV show American Chopper. And, I've heard all sorts of interesting things about how they got into the industry, how, the TV show started, et cetera. So I'm really excited to have him on tonight. If you haven't watched the current season, I've watched a few episodes now. And our friends Josh Allison and Ryan Gore are both on. And they are building some very, very cool, and I mean that 100% really cool old school bikes. And that's all under the tutelage of Paul Sr. So super excited to have him on. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Paul, how you doing, man? You're live with Chris and Ken on ShopTalk.
How you guys doing?
Oh, really good, man. Really good.
You sound kicked back.
Yeah. Well, this is like our Thursday night chill, man. We get Ken and I started this thing by just a weekly phone call that we used to have, and it sort of turned back into that. We try not to take it too serious.
I try to do that with life, but it doesn't always work,
So we're super fired up about talking with you tonight, man. And I got to tell you, I've been such a fan of Ryan's for a long time, and watching from the outside what was going on with him, and just, seeing what you're doing with these younger guys and the different things that you're going after. I had a lot of respect for that. And I had mentioned that to Ryan and how I thought that was really classy. And I wanted an opportunity to talk to you, with everybody else and see where that's coming from and what's going on.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. I started really getting into Instagram, and I started looking at some of these like Ryan or Josh, looking at different people's work and how talented that so many people are that never get the opportunity to show their talent.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what inspired me to, give people the opportunity that I had.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man, because really today too, with all the social media and everything that we have, it's still harder than ever, with the motorcycle industry slowing down and, a lot of the mainstream media's focus shifting away from our culture. It's harder for these guys, and they are super talented. I mean, like on a scientific level beyond stuff that we were doing before at all,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it just like both of those guys. I don't know if you know how that story went, but that's how I found those guys. I was going through my Instagram, and I seen some of Josh's work, and I was following him, and I was saying, man, this guy's really got his shit together, and the stuff that he was doing was like far beyond that of anything that I thought, because, listen, we've done bikes, all kinds of crazy bikes, most of them theme bikes. So it's the way I kind of feel today about that is, first of all, even from the 60s, the bikes that I've always been into is like the 60s style bikes. Now, the difference between, back then and now is I just think the talent has, far surpassed the way that it was back in the day. But for me, like what these guys build, that's what I'm all about, because all those years of building those bikes, the fat tire bikes, and I'm not knocking none of that stuff, but I never left my era ever. So, behind the scenes, every bike that I rode or every bike that I built was always, I kind of like the 23rd over front ends, the girder friends, and that's what I ride today. I actually ride two bikes. One's a Pan and one has an Indian motor in it. But I still like the bobber look, but I still like that old school, that front end way kicked out there with the 21-inch wheel and just a regular 16-inch wheel in the rear.
Yeah. Well, how much of a gamble was it really to kind of change direction? I mean, in terms of the business side of things, did you think that it was going to be as embraced as it has been?
Listen, there's a saying, and it says change or die.
Amen. Amen, brother.
And it's true, and I think this has probably been a longer time coming, than you would think it is, because, again, that's always like, that was my roots, so to be able to just say, you know what, that's where I'm going because that's where I want to be, and have people that identify with that, and have people that care enough to go in that direction with you. It's like a feeling of security and comfort, because you do not find people like those guys today. You just don't,
Yeah.
Where I live here, you'd be lucky. It's like almost impossible to find that kind of talent. So, those guys took a risk too. They came from Colorado, and with Josh, it was kind of like, okay, come on down, bro. We were back on Discovery, and I want you to come down and do a build, and then here it is, 8 months later, and he's still here.
Yeah. So, that's something that I was looking forward to, because I've been learning more about your history as we were, watching Ryan and Josh go through this, and, and Evan the year before. And I wanted an opportunity, both with this show tonight and with the magazine coming up. I wanted an opportunity to really talk to you about where you started, and, the bikes and the time and the stuff that you did, because from what I've been gathering, that history went way back before there was ever the big bikes and the TV and the bright lights. Like, you had a pretty traditional start in all this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a little story. The first bike that I ever rode, and I started out on the back of the bike was a 175 Honda with ape hangers.
No kidding.
And I was like 16 years old, and my buddy was driving the bike down the road, and he said, "Hey, you wanna ride this thing?" And I hadn't rode a bike since then. I said, I'll do it. And there I went down the road. But that's kind of really the beginning. And then the next thing, when I had a steel fabricating business in 1973, and I had a 71 Triumph, and then when I got rid of the 71 Triumph, which I love Triumphs, I bought my first Harley in 1974, and I still have the same bike. I still have it.
Oh, right on.
Nice.
Yeah, and I actually have I have an 85, which was the kind of the first year of the Evo, last year of the Shovelhead.
Yeah.
What a swing arm frame! It was the last year of the square swing arm frame. But I had a partner when I was in the steel business in the very beginning there, who was a real deal bike guy. He was from Brooklyn, and so I watched these guys. He didn't buy a bike, he bought a frame, he bought a transmission. He did everything. He stretched his frame, and I watched him build a bike from nothing. And I think that was my biggest inspiration. And, like visualizing, I never lost the vision of that bike, because when it was done, he might have stretched it up 4 or 6 inches and kicked the neck out, and extended a Springer front end. And that's really, I think that's what really, really motivated me to go in that direction.
Well, and I think, I actually, I met you years ago at the Michael Lichter exhibit.
Yes.
I think you were in the Bob's Back. Is that right? Up in Sturgis?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah. So I remember you wheeling your bike in, and you started to look around, and you were like, wow, there's some really great bikes here. And I think that really kind of diffused the entire room, because I don't know what people expected of you, but it really showed people like, oh yeah, this guy knows bikes, because Donnie Luce had a bike there, Dave Perowitz had a bike there. Like all these guys had these bikes that were just incredible. And for you to come in and just kind of recognize that, I think that piece and kind of what you're saying now, about, having that partner really, humanizes you as opposed to, what people see on TV.
Yeah. I mean, listen, TV's a whole different thing, it's not what I signed up for, to be honest with you. It came, I had a steel fabricating business. I worked hard all my life, and then I got a phone call one day saying that, we seen a picture of you on a website, and they said, you look like a motorcycle dude, and they decided to call me and say, you want to do a 1-hour special on Discovery. And then that's all she wrote. It was like overnight. And so people think that it's easy. It's not easy. It's not, it's a tough transition going from a steel fabricator into all of a sudden, listen, I didn't like my picture taken, never mind being in front of millions of people
really?
on TV. And the biggest thing too is that, the first show, if you've seen the first show, it was like, when I seen the first show, I was like losing my mind. I said, well, how could anybody show? Why would anybody show that dysfunctional family on TV? It was like a shock. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm not really seeing this, because they had other shows there. They had Billy Lane and Roger Bourget, and I forget who else it was. But I think that our our audience and who we are not just bike people. We're family people, and I think that people don't recognize how many families we brought together because of that show. Because anybody that you talk to, they always say, "Me and my dad," me and my mom,
Yep.
they all watch the show together, and I think that blew my mind.
Sure. Well, I mean, all the way to like Evan, right? I mean, he said he had, the Orange County Chopper symbol painted on his garage when he was a kid,
Yeah.
and then he ended up working for you.
Yeah, listen, it's been a hell of a ride, and listen, it's not over. It's not over.
Yeah.
It's actually, we started this new series, and it's the second one of two, and we're doing good. The ratings are doing good, so I see it continue to go. But going back to what you said before, I do think, I think I took a big risk
Oh,
by
absolutely.
by changing the style bikes that we've done for 12, 13 years. So it was a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a lot of respect for that too, man. I really do. Because like I said, it's really it's something I've always regarded men in our culture that take the time to accept a mentorship role. And I see you doing that with these guys, and showing that, like, everybody's out there today and they're talking about, finding new riders and inspiring new riders. And I mean, this is how the motorcycle culture, this is how we've always found those new riders and inspired new riders, is by working with them and taking them on and taking them with us, whether it's on the trip, into the garage. I mean, that's good stuff, man.
Well, I think you always have to remain teachable, and I learn a lot from these guys. They're the younger generation, at least compared to my age, are and the people. It's kind of like these guys are they're like, hell yeah, you know what I mean? They're not. There's no half measures.
Yeah.
There's no half measures with these guys.
Totally.
So, and listen, it's pretty evident. It just screams out in what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when anybody, if they watch that show, which I really encourage people to, and I've got to be honest, I didn't watch a whole lot of the other seasons. I watched some of them that I, had some connection to, but these new ones, it's really about the bikes. Yeah, there's the drama and, the usual, but I mean, the bikes are absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so focused on that. And I think, our listeners, readers, watchers, really identify with that, because that's what a lot of them are about. They're all about the bikes.
Well, listen, we had to bring that forward, because you're right. Discovery was always about the drama. And it's still today, they don't show enough fabrication. These guys fabricate their hearts out, and they're more concerned about the drama. And I think that the direction that we're going in now is, we're I'm being rebellious towards that, because I don't want that bullshit. You know what I mean? I want to be, we're bikers, you know what I'm saying? We build bikes. That's what we do. Orange County Choppers is a 20-year-old brand, and
How about that?
And yeah, and the thing of it is that, when you say Orange County Choppers, you immediately think about bikes, not necessarily all that drama. And I think that Discovery's kind of stuck there, but we're not going in that direction. There needs to be a certain amount of drama, but there's drama without, listen, everybody knows how intense motorcycle building is. It's intense.
Yeah, buddy.
Especially, people are they're artists, you know what I mean? They're just, it's so passionate in what they do. So it's going to happen by itself. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is,
Especially under tight deadlines. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's no getting around it,
Right.
And listen, I'll tell you the truth, okay? It's kind of like, I hate hearing we only have a week, or all that deadline bullshit. I hate it. Okay, but you want to know something? It's 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We build. What we do is amazing. I mean, we built. I don't know. There's a show coming up. It's called Trade Winds. It's cool. But we had to build 2 bikes, actually 4 bikes, and I think it was 6 weeks. So we had 2 bikes. We had 2 bikes that we had to finish in 3 weeks. That's paint, fab, assembly, and in 3 weeks, bro. That's not, nobody does that.
Right.
No. Yeah, for sure.
You know, man, like there's so much to talk about here too, because I mean, I know the inside. I've been in and around the different TV shows and stuff, and been a part enough to know that it's a dangerous place. Like, you really don't have control. You don't know how things are going to be used, and when you're involved in the filming process, most of the time on the other side, you're surprised at how they use things out of sequence. You know, someone answering somebody, they use it in a completely different conversation. Like, it's just
you're 100% right.
No idea how that's going to play out, you know.
And to film one show is 230 hours to do one show.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy, you know. And you know what happens? What happens is that, 6 months go down the road or whatever it is, and then your first show comes on. You have no idea what you did. You don't remember nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not
And
like
then
they
all of a
send you
sudden-
a copy of it and go, "Hey, is this okay?" You just get to see it, right?
No, you don't get to see anything, and it's just like you said. They can spin that show any way that they want to. They
Yeah.
can actually put words in your mouth. You learn, just like evidently you did, but you learn after you catch on after a while what they're doing, And I think that once you learn that, then you have more control of how that goes.
Yeah. Well, and I think, man, if you're going to be honest too, anybody out there that has the family dynamic, you put a little bit of pressure and stress into a family. It was. I remember my wife has a pretty normal family from the New England part of the country, and I was at my 3rd family holiday dinner with her before I looked at her, and I took her off to the side and I said, "Is this it?" And she said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Nobody's gotten up in the middle of dinner and whipped the turkey out the back door and said, 'That's it, you've ruined Thanksgiving.'" And she was like, "Why would somebody do that?" I said, "It happens."
Yeah, listen, you know what? It's kind of like that's the way I grew up in a dysfunctional family. So for me, listen, my sister stabbed me in the chest with a fork. My older sister used to hit me with phones and cast iron pots. So all that shit was normal to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, it's kind of like.
So you're father of the year compared to that. I mean, dude.
Yeah, listen. People don't know that.
Yeah,
if they only knew.
and
If they only knew.
I mean, that's really ultimately, as parents, that's all we try to do, right? Is we try to just give our kids a better experience than the experience we had, right?
Yeah.
Well,
but I think the thing too is that, and sometimes I think it's a mistake, is because I did kind of grow up with nothing, and it was really tough growing up. Pretty much grew up by myself, and I think one of the things that if I had to do all over again, I overcompensated with my kids because I wanted better for them. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But it backfired on me.
Yeah, I could see that. For sure. So,
I think generationally, though, I think that's a place where so many of us are at. It's something that we're facing, and actually 2 generations, because it's a baby boomer complex that it's following right through with Gen X and their kids now. I mean, it's a really hard issue.
Yeah, listen, I'm old school, and I all my life, even in my steel business, I was at work at 5 o'clock in the morning, and whatever time it was over, it was over. So, I always had good work ethics. So to bring people, even my son, to to come into a business and come in at 10 and leave at 3. That stuff really drove me crazy because it's hard. It's hard when you do have those work ethics and you work so hard to get to where you are. And, it almost, you're like disrespected, and
absolutely.
And I think that in the world that we live in with the real deal mechanics and motorcycle builders, their tools are important to them, and they don't, for people to disrespect that, they don't take that kindly,
This is an issue that we're talking about in the magazine all the time right now too, is the difference in the generations with regard to things like respect and words like brotherhood and the values and stuff that, I guess I'm getting to that age where I'm starting to look around and go, man, what is going on? There's so much missing from this that when I was young, I mean, it was nothing in the middle of one of these things when I was young to see somebody get out of line and say something stupid and get smacked right in the middle of the place. They get smacked in the mouth and everybody just went, well, he must have said something dumb.
Hey, listen, I said something dumb a lot because I used to get smacked a lot.
That's how I learned too.
But sometimes you wonder, you know what I mean? Like, did it make you a better person? When I look back at life and what I had to go through and the struggles that I went through, being in business at a early age, and the trials, the tribulations, you cannot buy that history. If you make it, and I thought, like for me, the lifestyle that I lived, I thought 35 was going to be a great ripe year to live if I made it to 35.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm going to be 70. But, when I look back and I look at all that history, I'm kind of glad that I experienced all of it.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
And I think today, the generations, like both earlier generation and now, they don't have that. They don't have that history because I think that most of them are looking for the softer, easier way. So, so if you have to write a book, what do you write about if you don't really show up? You know what I'm saying? It's like, what is it? What's it all about? What do you have to contribute?
Hashtag the struggle is real.
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's go back again for a minute because I wanted to get to some of this stuff. Let's talk about,
Sure.
So here's your steel yard, and let's go to that first shop or your first workshop and talk about what your place was like then. Because, again, with the show and everything, everybody has seen the great big workshop and, beautiful machineries and tools you guys are using. But take us inside that first shop.
Well, it's interesting because I was a young guy and I was working for somebody but I knew that I never wanted to work for somebody. I just knew I was not that person. So, one day I just never came back from lunch, and what I did is, I bought a welder, a 4-cylinder Hobart welder, and I bought a truck off my dad, which was a 64 International truck. And the way I started out is I went knocking on doors and I welded hot rod exhausts and I welded, go on farms and I weld some of their shit spreaders and whatever I had to do. And then I finally got a shop, which was like a garage. And I started doing wrought iron railings. So what I had was a grinder and a welder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no, a carborundum cutoff saw is what I cut everything up with, square bar, whatever. And like when the sun was coming in the window and you're cutting with those carborundum and you're cutting metal, all you see is sparkles.
Yeah. Because
it's, the whole air is just from the carborundum and the metal. So, when I first started out, there was minimal tools. And, and when you think about going back in the day in the 60s and stuff, what aftermarket places were there? There was none. There was none. Arlen Ness, Arlen Ness as far as I'm concerned, he's the pioneer, but, again, what could you buy? You had to do it, and I think the benefit from me was having a steel shop, because I did have a grinder, I did have a welder, I did have a torch. So people would come to me. I'd make sissy bars, I could cut fenders, I could make struts. So it doesn't sound like much, but nobody could do that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about where could you buy stuff? Companies with names like KK and Hap Jones and those original places. And if you were lucky, you could find something that you knew a guy who used a Triumph fender and you knew how he did it, or he was close enough that he'd help you do it. And that was a rich history that we've little idea. The young guys today have little idea what it was like to face those odds.
And I'll tell you, because you say that, just things are coming to my mind. And like, if you found, let's just say, a horn or whatever it was, and it was chrome, and you could put that chrome piece of a horn or whatever it was on your bike, it was like you were rich, man. It's like, what I'm saying? Now you got some chrome on your bike.
Oh, dude, and our big thing every year, there was a place here called Cycle Recyclers, and they got like all the cheapest parts, man. But once a year, you'd get I remember for $100 you could get a brand new pair of Dunlops. And then if we had an extra scratch, it was one thing. You would either get new chrome chopper pipes, or maybe one year you'd do a gas tank or something, but you'd pick one thing. And we were lucky to do stuff like that,
And for me, V Twin, which you probably know Ted's from V Twin, but like before he was anything, he had like a barn with a dirt floor. That's where he started. And we used to go over there on Saturdays, and he would have like half tanks or old fenders or whatever it be hanging up on the wall. And, you'd go in there and you would bargain with him, and he'd have like a piece of straw, chewing on a piece of straw while you were bargaining with him for a set of half tanks, which he already knew you were going to cut him up to make one piece tank with him, and he would argue that you're only going to cut these tanks up. I don't want to really give them to you, but that's what it was like.
That's great. So if there's one reason that you can think of for people to watch the show now, because obviously we want to promote that, we want to help, people watch that. What is it that you would say, what would be the reason that people should watch it? Especially people that, read our magazine, etc.
Real bike building.
There you go.
Real bike building. And maybe this is off track a little bit, but I think one thing that we've lost in this world is people that have trades. There's no more tradesmen, you know what I mean? There's no more, everybody goes to college. Well, it's great to go to college, but what are you doing, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, by the time you go to 4 years of college and pay for it, you could have been a plumber, union plumber, and you already would have made that money and not have to catch up on everything that you spent on school. But I do think that we need to go back into trades. You know what I'm saying? I think these younger generation needs to learn trades.
And you know what I think too? I think something else that we lost with that, I've learned since I've become so interconnected with working with machinery, going from the lathe, going to the mill, using different tools, and sometimes you use them in different capacities. Sometimes you add to tools that you have, you change things to make them work the way you need them to. It's that element of problem solving, the confidence of problem solving. I think that's one of the things that we really lose as a culture when we let the trades, fall behind in our list of priorities.
Yeah, I think people get scared. It's like you said, you know what I mean? You like, for me, and for like people like Josh, you have to figure it out, dude. You know what I'm saying? If your drill press doesn't work, you need to figure out, and you need a hole in something, you need to figure it out.
Yep.
So, and I think that, the development of, being a tradesman or a craftsman is, I remember at one time I had a special tool for everything on my bike, because, I used to like back in the day. I used to like using Allen bolts, for the cylinders, and there was always that one bolt that you couldn't get out with that Allen wrench, So you'd make a special wrench, So I would have a.
I've got one of those.
Do you got one?
Yep.
Oh,
Do you got one? So you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
It's got to have just the right amount of depth, you know what I mean? And it's got to have just that right angle. Otherwise, you're not putting that bolt in,
Oh, yeah. Yep, for sure.
Well, a lot of people coming in from social media and, giving you the encouragement and joining the conversation. Tim Carnes his comment is put shop class back in school. James Avery, we need more people that are good welders. And, everybody seems to be on the same page with that, bringing that experience of the will of doing, of creating. I'm down for that.
Yeah, and I mean, not to be a Debbie Downer, but the reality is in the next 10 years, there's going to be so much automation that's going to happen for a lot of the low-level jobs that are out there. A lot of, retail shops are closing down, so there's just not going to be that kind of those kind of jobs available, that I think actually there is going to be a resurgence in the trades, because I think it's going to be something that people are going to see as a valuable asset, and actually working with your hands, where there's not a lot of places to do that still.
Just for the record, though, I majored in shop class. I took 3 shop classes.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So why don't we talk about some of your favorite bikes over the years from that first shop?
From when you say the first shop,
when you finally got your first shop and started doing more stuff, what were your favorite? Let's go, your favorite 3 bikes from that era.
When I started actually, kind of, I had my steel shop. I had a little garage underneath there. Is when I said, I'm gonna, open up a little motorcycle shop, or, and maybe do 10 bikes a year or whatever.
Yeah.
And this was before Discovery, because I liked it so much. But I immediately started building like rigid panheads, more of like, I would guess bobber style. We didn't really call them bobbers, but more of that like Billy Bob style bike, and that's what I built. I never really got into Evo motors until later on, and probably 90% of the bikes that I built, all of them were rigids.
Yeah. Right on.
That's cool.
Well, so one of the things that we want to do, like Ken said, is we definitely want to promote the show. So tell everybody. I know there's a live streaming service on Discovery now where you can actually watch it through there. But what are all the ways that people can hook up and catch the episode?
Well, they changed the time for one. So next week they changed it. They changed it to an 8:00 time slot for Tuesdays now, and I think their reasoning is that they really love our show. They really love the show. They think the show is great, but I think the time slot that we're in, which is 10:00, your blue collar guy is not staying up to 10, and even if he is, by 10:30 he's sleeping. So I think that they know the ratings could be so much greater. So now they're going to put us on at 8:00 on Tuesdays.
Right on.
That's great. Yeah, and I think people can go to Discovery and actually watch it there as well after the fact.
Yeah, we were actually we were streaming an episode today. It's a pretty nice feature that they have set up.
Yeah, I think you can watch it on Discovery Go app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well,
where
are you going to be?
Yeah.
Are you going to be at any shows or anything?
I'm going to 99% do Sturgis this year at
Everybody's like waiting. Where are you going to be in Sturgis?
We're doing something at the Full Throttle this year, and it's going to be with Josh and
cool.
Paint Zoo. I don't know if you know Franny and Ryan. So they've asked us to do. They want to give us like the center of the whole place, and do some cool stuff. Maybe do build a gas tank out there, or a good chance that we're going to build a bike for those guys and bring it out there. So yeah, I had to, I got away from that stuff because not because I didn't want to, but like for me to walk around at a bike show, I don't get 2 feet with people. And listen, I appreciate that. I appreciate my fans, but I can't go 10 steps, especially at a motorcycle event or a car event. So it becomes, and really it's like, I love doing that stuff. I love car shows. I love looking at bikes, so that's one of probably the disadvantages. But this year I'm going, we're going to go there and we're going to go for it. You know what I mean? I'm not,
Right on.
At some point you just got to push on,
Indeed. Right on.
Yes, sir. Well, Paul, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on with us and spending some time tonight. I know you guys are crazy busy getting things onto the next set.
Well, listen, I appreciate it because a lot of times I do interviews and most of the time they're assholes. they don't know nothing about a bike. They don't know nothing about motorcycle history. They don't know nothing. So it's kind of a pleasure to talk to somebody that really understands it and have a great conversation.
Well, that's cool, man. Because I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, he's probably wondering, what's going to come up here, and like, how many times have you been given why do you throw wrenches, or
yeah,
come on, man, come on,
really argue with your son, it's like
Jesus,
yeah. So you do get a lot of that, and so it's refreshing to talk to you guys, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk to me.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on, and we look forward to seeing you and talking to you again.
Thanks, man.
Thanks
guys have
lot,
a good evening. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
So we're gonna follow this conversation up with a little more in depth in the magazine in an issue coming up, and we'll let you guys know when that's set in stone. But that's what I wanted to hear
some
about.
Of those bikes.
Yeah.
I mean, showing some of the bikes that they did this year. I mean, so far the 3 bikes that I've seen are ridiculous.
I actually threw my hat in the ring for a couple of those for features too. So we'll see if we can.
So I love the fact that one of the most common comments I'm seeing so far is the newfound respect people have for Paul Sr.
Right.
Because they got to hear about him going back to his roots and who he really is instead of that jackass they see on TV. That's not who he is.
I mean, that's such a common thing though, right? Yeah. I mean, with anybody that's in the public spotlight. And I think that's, when anybody ever asked me, anything, if I knew him or if I had ever met him, I was like, yeah, and this is what happened. He was at the Lichter show surrounded by amazing motorcycles and was like, wow, there's some amazing motorcycles here. I maybe should have stepped up my game on this bike,
Well, I think just with any
cool.
celebrity or TV personality, people forget that they're real human beings and they're not just a script or, whatever it may be.
Persona.
Well, and that's after having some of our guys, and when I say our guys, like our side of the tracks, having them involved with this and being close to this cat and learning his story. I wanted the chance to bring that here, and let everybody else see the kind of stuff that we find out from behind the scenes. So
and then on the other hand, I have to give him a lot of credit because they do put whatever spin they want on whatever they film. And
oh yeah, bastards.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember us back in the days of the Broken Spoke? They had. Who was it that came out there to film? And
Discovery Channel was out there filming. They filmed for an entire week. They didn't end up doing anything with it because we wouldn't let them film the drama.
And I told the guy straight up, I said, listen, here's the deal. I'll spend as much time as you want and everything else, but if you take 1 minute of that film and try to make me or anybody else from the magazine look like assholes, we're the kind of people that will come and find you in another town and break up your shit. So right now we're all friends, and let's just stay that way. We'd rather not be on TV if that's what you want to do.
Right. Remember, they weren't allowed in my office ever for any reason.
There was always drama in Heather's office.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, buddy. Okay. Well, that
That was
good.
great.
That was really
awesome.
good. I
Yeah,
appreciate Paul taking the time to do that.
well, and a big shout out to Ryan Gore.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yes.
man, for hooking us up and getting that done, because without him, we wouldn't have got that done. So,
And I can
thanks.
kind of see why, just from that brief time that Paul spent with us, why Ryan's favorite part of the experience was getting to know him.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, sure.
You know,
Yeah,
that was
hearing
really
the stories and everything about, back in the day and all that stuff. Yeah. It's legit.
So we got short time to tear through the rest of the show and news and stuff, but before we do any of that, we're going to take you guys on a little trip and take in some tech tips.
Hey, it's Patrick from JMP Cycles, and today we're going to show you how to adjust the clutch on an Evo Sportster. Now, why would you want to mess with your clutch adjustment? If you have a bike and there's a lot of slack right here, this bike's not too bad, but if you got a lot of play in your lever, you can adjust that out. The other thing is, if your bike's starting to creep, meaning if you have your clutch pulled all the way in and the bike's still wanting to kind of walk forward, you can adjust that out as well. Now that could be a bigger indication of a wearing clutch, but again, you can adjust that out and get some more use out of your clutch. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is find your adjuster on your cable. We're gonna loosen this up. Basically, we're gonna run these threads down and put a bunch of slack in this. And you want quite a bit of slack. We're pretty good right there. So now that we have that much slack in there, we'll move down here, we'll pull the derby cover off. You're gonna have to have your bike standing straight up and down. So either have a buddy hold it or put it up on a stand like this, because if you haven't leaned over on the kickstand, you're gonna lose primary fluid. So we'll take our derby cover off. That might hop out on you. There's a little spring and a little nut that sits in here. We're gonna need to take it out anyway. It's kind of got a slot in it. It only fits on this on one way. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a small screwdriver, and to loosen this, we're gonna turn it clockwise. Just gonna turn it clockwise a turn or so, and this is where the adjustment starts to happen. We're gonna go counterclockwise until you can feel resistance. So it's going real smooth, real smooth. Right there, I can kind of feel it. Right when you start to feel the first little bit of resistance, you back it off a quarter turn, and that's your setting. So go through this again. We'll go clockwise, we'll loosen it up. I'm gonna back it off. I start to feel resistance right there, and I back it off a quarter turn. Even though you feel resistance, you can keep cranking that thing, but don't. As soon as you feel the first little bit of resistance, back it off a quarter turn, and we're set. That's when we're gonna take our little nut with the slot in it. The little spring goes there. It'll fit on the screw. We're gonna put our derby cover back on, and the torque spec on the bolts is 7 to 9 foot-pounds. Put that on, we'll make our final adjustment with our cable. Now we just need to take the slack out of here. You're gonna want a little bit left, anywhere from a 1/16 to an 1/8 inch in between your control housing and your lever. So to do that, we're gonna back this back out of there. You wanna see more threads to take out slack. Like I said, you don't want this stuck tight. You want just a little bit of play there. We're gonna go ahead and run our lock nut down here, and then we'll pull the little rubber cover back over the top. Now, what I like to do after this is fire the bike up, pull the clutch in, and put it in first gear in the driveway, give it just a little bit of gas, and see if it tries to pull through. If you did everything correctly, it shouldn't try to pull through, and you should be good to go. As always, if you have any questions, go ahead and comment in the comment section below. If you like what you see here, tell your friends, and please subscribe to us. Go work on those motorcycles.
Right on, man. I want to thank everybody at JP Cycles, Patrick especially, for that stuff coming in here with good information for you guys. And like he said, if there's some more stuff that you're looking for, they have an entire library of helpful videos like that on the JP Cycles website. So go check them out, and we appreciate them supporting the show.
Nice.
We got a lot of people, man. Social media is active tonight. Zach Valen, first time watching. I'll be checking this out more often. Thanks, man. Tell your buddies about it. Rob L. T. Gray, the news we can use. That's a good slogan, man. We might have to kick him a couple bucks and keep that one.
There you go. News you can use.
I was actually just being nosy on his page. Rob's an incredible engraver.
Oh yeah,
dude, nice work. I may see a artist profile coming up.
Artist profile, get in
Hit
touch
me up.
with us.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Okay, so back to the news for a minute. This in from the world of Utah. Jesus, it's Thursday. Nobody should pick between tacos and burnouts until the filming is over.
Full stream.
We've done a lot of other cool stuff, but nothing beats closing down the city.
Being here in Mexico, I haven't actually got enough tacos. I've actually done more burnouts than tacos. I'm actually stoked. I already feel like I'm one of the luckiest people in the world that I get to have these amazing locations and drive in them. It's actually kind of fun because it's really hard to get all these locations. And now I get to drive 2 vehicles to it. That's pretty awesome.
I love Mexico in general, but like I call like Baja Mexico, like that's like Mexico light. This is like real Mexico,
Mexico
or Mexico
light.
heavy.
Try one of those.
Looking at it, you feel like it's probably a little too tight of a curve. It's such a unique place. Like most people, if you just sent them photos of it, it wouldn't even look like Mexico. Like it almost looks more like Barcelona or Rome or something like that. And that's because this part of Mexico is actually colonial Mexico.
This Gymkhana 10 shoot here in Guanajuato, Mexico is quite different. Normally we just drive everything, the race car, and move on. But this time I've gotten the added bonus of driving another vehicle, being the Maverick X3 through everything. Double the fun for me. The X3 is just so capable. It's so fun to throw it around in this situation. I really enjoy that element of it.
Yeah, back into positions, back into positions. Thank you, everyone.
More lenses, more problems. I want to get this scene with a hill.
This is one taken done. One taken done, because your little PVC empire is going to be over.
The performance that's available right from the dealer is just amazing.
Your little PVC
it's so far
empire.
ahead of everybody else. It makes everything else look kind of silly.
I was like, it's House of Cards, where that looks like just wild, out of control. It took the stand down.
Tacos or burnouts? What about tacos and burnouts at the same time?
Like I'm driving a race car here, like a very, very expensive race car.
Oh,
Yet the X3 has a lot of the same capabilities of this race car, but in something most anybody can buy. Like it's easy for me to put it in a situation where I can overdrive it, and I really enjoy that element of it. But here it's like, we have to jump. Well, how far can I jump it? You know?
Launch as hard as you can out of there.
Like
so just don't like just roll out of the tunnel. Like come at it with energy.
The funny thing is, I probably eat more tacos than burnouts, but neither will ever get old to me.
That's a wrap, everyone. Thank you very much.
so tacos
I'm like
and
almost
burnouts.
40. Like tacos are way more important at this part of my life. At 25, burnouts, but now it's definitely tacos. Right now in my life, burnouts pay for my tacos.
So listen, my buddies that have these things, dude, are like they're sick with it. Like some of these guys, they could literally do it as a profession. They could drive these vehicles. They're sick.
Is that like kind of like what we grabbed when we were in what state? Utah. We rented one in Utah for an afternoon. We had a blast.
Yep.
Oh, I bet.
We just had to be slightly careful because if we rolled it, it was like a $2,000 fine.
Yeah.
Okay, next
Don't
up in
wanna
the
do that.
news, inside the creation of Zero's all-new electric motorcycle. So the electric motorcycle gates are open wide, dude. Everybody is jumping in on the action. Zero is...
Yeah, the thing that's interesting is that Wired magazine are the ones that they got the exclusive on it, you know. So that's the way this is going, you know.
But Zero's been at the head of this game for quite a while now, right?
Oh yeah, 14 years or something, and you know now they're putting their power plants in all sorts of different vehicles. They are actually offering their power plants to, I think, Ural just put one in one of their bikes, and they're doing testing on that. what's the two-wheeled one? Not the Slingshot, the other one, Vanderhall.
Yeah.
Just put one in there. They're trying that out. So I mean, they've been doing this for a long time. At a price of $18,995, 140 foot-pounds of torque, 161 miles of range. I think it recharges in a few hours. It's going to be a front runner for sure for people. You know, styling wise, it looks like a street bike. You
Yep.
know, like it doesn't. I mean, I'm not like, wow, holy moly. But at the same time, it's not. I don't think it's ugly. You know, I think it's a good looking bike.
definitely see that as a commuter vehicle.
So I
Yeah.
posted a link to that in the comments. I'm gonna try and keep up with that as we go. If people want to check out the
There you
article
go.
themselves,
Yeah.
a little slow.
All right, next up in the news, industry pioneer Roland Sands named Grand Marshal of 2019 Daytona TT. Sands and Super Hooligans to bring big bore entertainment to AFT fans.
Yeah. So I'm hoping he's going to race.
Right?
Right? I mean, he can't be the grand marshal without racing. Well, I guess he can. No, I think that's cool, man. He totally deserves that. He is a legit racer. Anybody, have you ever ridden with Roland?
No, but I've been up close and watched Roland race, and you know, it's something else. Like, it always looks serious when he's down on the track when you're up in the stands, but to see like him standing there with blood coming down the cuff of his race suit or coming down one of his pant legs, like, you can tell that he really goes ass out in these races, man.
Dude, I mean, this must have been a decade ago, maybe more, but I did a ride with him, and he was literally riding on the sidewalk and like jumping off the sidewalk
Oh, yeah.
into traffic. I'm like, dude. And he was on like one of his big ass custom bikes. Anyways, guy's a maniac. He's been on the show before. He's calmed down quite a bit. Great guy. Super excited for him to have that honor. It's a huge honor. I know he raced there at one point. So I think that it's great that he gets to come back and be the Grand Marshal. That's a really cool honor.
While the screen's still on you, Ken, I'm going to pop up right there. Indian
Right.
Roadmaster Elite.
Look at that, man.
Starting at $36,999.
Over there. No, over there.
There you go.
So what they're trying to do is, they're using the words ultra premium again, curated, all sorts of fancy words. It's got a bunch of gold leaf on it, I believe, bunch of doodads. Same 111-inch engine, which I think is going to be the downfall. They're trying to kind of go after a CVO market. It just doesn't have the hop up that some of the CVOs had. I'm not discrediting Indian for this. That bike, the Roadmaster, in itself is a great bike. I had one last summer.
It is.
It's a fantastic bike, but $37,000. If somebody wants a real fancy one, I guess they can go for it. It's I think it's like they're only making 900 of them or something, 500 of them.
Man,
it's
but
in the
like, here we go, and this is me going on the record for what the hell is going on with motorcycles today.
Sure.
It's just too expensive. It's just
It's
too
a lot of
expensive,
money.
and it's because all through the growth of the motorcycle phenomenon, it was the baby boomers who were in the position of super consumers who had excess income. There has to be a reset. We have to adjust to a place, to an economy of the next generation. We have to follow that through, and it'll evolve too. But
Yeah, and my guess would be they wouldn't be making those if they didn't think they would sell them, right? There's people out there. I would assume that they must have some data that we don't know about that says this is the bike that people want. And we'll find out. I mean, we think. I thought that about the FTR. And we'll see, that has been bumped back, I think, a couple months. Looks like it'll be out in April, May now. So, I mean, and that's supposedly due to demand. So I don't know, man. I mean, we'll see. We're going to be going and riding a brand new Harley Davidson, in what, a week. And it'll
listen,
be interesting to see what that bike is.
Like you, I think they're beautiful. I think the technology is awesome. But Mitch just made a comment here coming in from Facebook: $37,000. It should have a bar of gold in it. you know, and like, and I mean, that's just the thing, man. Like for, you know, here we started with talking about motorcycles being from the blue collar end of things. And, you know, like that was the tradition. And now they've, you know, everything evolves and changes, and that's great. But that's a lot of money. That's a
I
lot
could
of
buy
money.
50 iron heads for that money.
Well, I had a guy today, we were talking about the price of
What the hell would
motorcycles.
you do with 50 iron heads? Oh my God.
And we were
Have
talking
a
about
50 years of headaches.
we were talking about this bike, and he said, dude, for $36,999 I could buy a house in the ghetto and rent that shit out and make some money. Everybody has a different comparison, but
Sure,
I'm just saying.
yeah. It wouldn't be hey, if I had 36 grand to go spend on a motorcycle, I would have bought Josh Allison's, which I'm sure he already sold, that knucklehead that he was selling for $35,000.
Tim Carnes,
What
good point.
in the hell?
Tim Carnes, good point. What will they bring in 100 years?
Yeah.
But I want to make it yours. You know the deal. Yeah, and that's, I mean, you know, here you go. Buying that bike for $36,999, I'm not touching that bike. I would want to keep it
Hell,
undercover.
you may never even ride the damn thing. Like, seriously, that mailman just said that he bought his first house for less than that.
Yeah.
Tim,
You know?
That's just because he's old.
nice. All right, moving back to the news.
Hey, can I
let's
throw this
finish
out
it.
there?
Yeah,
Wait,
sure.
real quick, we have a new
Go
watcher,
ahead.
Zach Valen, who posted a link to Chuck's Classic Cycles in Tuskahoma, Oklahoma. This place looks completely rad.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. It's like a museum and a shop. And
road trip.
yep, chucksclassiccycles.com. Looks cool. We may stop in. Don't be surprised if you see us. Just saying.
So next up in the news, Dainese. You guys, big time race fans, Superbike, World Superbike, win a trip to Circuit of the Americas. If you haven't been to this track, it is one of my favorite racetracks, and I've been to tracks all over the country. Not only do you get the trip to Circuit of the Americas, you get to meet 9-time world champion Valentino Rossi. Seems like a dream, right? Well, for two people whose dream will become a reality, they're inviting one winner and their friend to Austin, Texas, not only enjoy a weekend of MotoGP festivities, but to also meet the doctor himself, Valentino Rossi. You can go on subscribe.dainese.com, put your entry in here, get in on the chance to meet the king,
Very cool.
right?
I think he's the doctor, actually.
Yeah, they call him the doctor, but he's the king of the track when he's out there, boy. He's a badass.
Yeah, he is. Are we pulling this into the station? Where are we
Wait,
at?
We're almost done. One
Close,
piece
right?
of motorcycle legislation
That's right.
on the floor right now is the motorcycle lane splitting bill reignites debate over safety concerns. Motorcycle lane splitting between cars on southbound 405 pictured here in Long Beach on July 10th, 2017. California is the only state where it is legal to drive between lanes.
Yeah.
So
I think it's great
proponents-
that you've got me up on screen right now, and you're the one that's doing the talking.
Oh,
I'm like,
I'm sorry.
Here.
I
No,
was-
that's
I'm
okay.
giving
I'm
you
like,
some
I don't know how
FaceTime.
I'm supposed to say anything, but
I was giving
all
you some
right.
FaceTime, baby.
Just smile pretty.
So anyway, I mean, you know, it goes on to say here that there you go. How's that? Proponents said the 2019 version is the same, but this year they returned armed with significantly more legislative support. 19 lawmakers from Grants Pass Republic to Portland Democrats are sponsoring a 2019 bill. Just 6 lawmakers sponsored legislation in 2015 and 17. 2017 Senate bill died in committee. So it's up again. We'll keep tabs on this, let you guys know what's up. It would be a shame because it is truly a unique experience to lane split. So
It's scary as hell on the, what is it, on
wait
the
a minute.
5
Wait a
in
minute.
California?
What's Ken got?
Oh, I have mine too. You got the new issue.
Look at that. And do you know the significance of that man on the cover
How
right
cool
there?
is that?
Do you know who
Micah?
that is, Ken?
No.
Micah McCloskey. He is a legend.
He is also the doctor. He is super badass, like land speed racing and, you know, motor work legend. Like Mike is just so badass. We got to spend time with him. He was the tuner extraordinaire on the Buell Brothers team this year, and with all of our partners out at the Salt Flats, and just so cool to see him on his chopper on that cover.
He's got some stories. He's
I
got some
bet.
cool stories that he's fantastic.
Well,
Nice.
Awesome.
So that issue's hitting newsstands right now. You want to get out and get yourself a copy because it's also how we pay the bill every once in a while. Nina, thanks for being here. Rob says he is a badass. And we're getting close. We're almost there. Let's take 1 second here before we let you guys loose. And we're going to look at...
What are we doing? Are we going to do Daytona events? Or
we're going to look at some new products.
Oh.
When we first downloaded this video, Ken, I was like, what happened to the audio? And then I realized they're trying to show you the sound of the pipes. Okay, so thanks to people from Dennis Kirk and Magnaflow for participating in our show and giving us some product information. As Heather mentioned, we got crazy Daytona stuff coming up. Not to be forgotten and first to be mentioned, Willie's Tropical Tattoo Chopper Time. Thursday in Daytona. If you're anywhere, that's where you need to be. That's where we'll be. See you there. Tons of other stuff, man. I mean, if you're still around on Friday, we're going to be down at Annie Oakley's for the Boogie East. A bunch of the Texas Chopper guys come out. If you're in early, Sunday you'll find us at the Broken Spoke for Warren Lane's True Grit Antique Gathering, 79 and below. Tuesday, our very own Cycle Source Chopper Show, and a bunch of special guests that are going to be set up there with us for the day. Come and hang out with us. We'd love to see you in Daytona, man. It's the spring opener.
Yeah. It is really the start of the season, right?
It is for us, man. That's tradition.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, I can't wait to get there, but I really wish it was like
a week
3
later.
weeks away, maybe. we need some extra time. If anybody can figure out how to give us some extra time between now and then, you'd be my hero.
Seriously, I hear you.
Please.
So if you guys keep watching the Cycle Source social media feed, we'll let you know where all the different places we're going to be for Twisted Tea with the new Twisted Tea bike. Don't forget Jack Shit in his 3 locations on Main Street.
Main Street, yep.
Where else is he going to be?
Pretty much all of Main Street. Main Street Station, Bank and Blues, and
just listen for
if you're on
voice.
Main Street, you'll hear him. I guarantee it. So.
And what do you got coming up, Ken? You're going riding.
I'm going to Tacoma on Sunday. I'm going to be in Seattle for a couple days, and then I come back, and then I'm going to Daytona, and then I'm coming back, and then I'm going to Arizona.
And we got a couple cool guests coming up.
We got Josh Allison, I believe, is coming up. Crystal Hess. Those are going to be next week. The week after that, Brian Carroll and hopefully Ricky Rackman, although he doesn't know it yet. So, but yeah, lots of fun guests. Anybody that has suggestions on guests, we're willing to listen. I'm not saying we're going to take your suggestion, but you can type it in there, little keyboard warriors, and we can try.
I do want to let you guys know one more event that's happening in Daytona on Friday at the Broken Spoke. They're doing the Dennis Kirk Garage Build bike show. You definitely want to go and check that out. The people from Dennis Kirk have an entire site dedicated to garage build bikes, and they're putting on a show. They did this in Sturgis. It was successful. Them and American Iron are going to be on site doing their garage build, so go check them out. And again, I want to thank you for supporting Shop Talk. The easiest way that you can do this, man, is when we come on the air, just go and like us. Make sure you go up, hit the button, like us, set the little alarm so you know when we go live. Tell your friends, and help keep us on the air, man.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Sweet.
And I think with that, we're gonna pull this. Pull this one into the station. Until next week, same chop time.
Same chop channel.
I'm Chris.
I'm Ken.
I'm Heather.
And we're out.